All right, let's cut through all the noise and take a real look at the pulse of the Cardano DeFi ecosystem. We're going to zoom in on updates from 5 key projects to see what's actually going on behind the scenes. Let's get right into it.
You know, it's so easy to get lost in speculation and, well, hype. So the big question we're asking today is pretty simple. What's really happening right now? We're going to push aside all the chatter and look at the real numbers, the actual developments, and even the challenges these protocols are facing head-on.
So we're going to kick things off with the stuff that always grabs headlines. Big wins and even bigger numbers. And we're not talking about just some abstract figures here. These numbers represent real people getting involved and some major financial milestones. It's a great sign of a healthy, active ecosystem.
And here's our first big number. This comes from Strike Finance, who just announced they've handed out over 900,000 ADA in rewards to their token holders. Now, the big deal here isn't just that the platform is making money, it's that the value is going straight back to its community. I mean, they're right on the doorstep of that 1 million ADA mark. That's huge.
Okay, sticking with that idea of community engagement, let's check out what's happening over at Minswap. They've got this massive trading competition going on, and honestly, the amount of activity it's stirred up is pretty wild.
And wow, just look at these numbers. A prize pool over 100,000 ADA is definitely nice, but that's not the real story. The real story is that almost 8,000 people have jumped in, generating a colossal 46 million ADA in trading volume. It just goes to show how a smart event can totally ignite a platform's activity.
So why are so many people getting involved? Well, this quote right here is a massive clue. Minswap offered 0 batcher fees. Think about it. That's a huge incentive. It makes trading cheaper, which makes people want to trade more, and that's how you get that crazy volume we just saw. It's a brilliant example of smart incentives at work.
Now, growth is fantastic, but it's really only half the story, isn't it? The true test, the real measure of a DeFi protocol, is how it handles itself when things get rough. So let's shift gears and look at how these platforms are navigating the choppy waters of market volatility.
And you really can't get more direct than this. Surf Protocol was super upfront in their update. They basically said, hey, we just went through something pretty intense. They had a major liquidation event that caused a serious dip in their token price. Honestly, this is the kind of thing that can completely wreck a protocol.
So, what happened next? Here's what they reported, and this is crucial. First, and most importantly, the protocol itself worked exactly as it was designed to, flawlessly. Second, all of the liquidations that had to happen, happened. They were all completed successfully. That shows you the system is solid. It does what it's supposed to do, even under extreme stress.
Let's just put this all into perspective. On one hand, you had a crisis, a huge liquidation, a scary price dip. But on the other hand, look at the result. The protocol was flawless, every lender was covered, and the price started to bounce back. This is so much more than just surviving. It's basically a successful, real-world stress test that builds a ton of trust in the system.
Okay, so big wins are great, and being resilient is vital, but both of those things really depend on one thing: rock-solid technology. So for this last part, let's pop the hood and look at the serious development work that's powering all of this for the long run.
Okay, first, a super quick reminder on APR. It just stands for annual percentage rate. It's the interest you earn on your investment over a year, right? And understanding this little detail is really the key to getting why what Fluid Tokens is doing is so cool.
Now, this is a really fascinating mechanic. The way Fluid is built, the APR for lenders actually goes up every single week. It's essentially a built-in safety net to protect lenders while also making sure platform fees keep flowing to their stakers. It's a totally proactive approach to keeping the system healthy, not a reactive one.
And now, shifting gears one last time, let's look at Surge. Their latest update is just a deep dive into a huge technical overhaul. We're not talking about adding one shiny new feature here. This is about getting into the nuts and bolts to strengthen the entire platform from the ground up.
So first up, bug fixes. Look, this isn't the glamorous stuff, but it is absolutely essential. By tackling things like trade direction logic and better error handling, they're doing that meticulous work that makes sure everything just works. It keeps the engine running smoothly for everyone.
But it's not just about fixing what's broken. They're also building for the future, right? They're making proactive upgrades. When they add things like a global exception handler or optimize the database, they're not just patching the system, they're building a more powerful and more efficient platform that's ready for what's next.
So we've seen some impressive numbers, a protocol that passed a major stress test with flying colors. and some really deep technical work. What does this little snapshot of just 5 projects tell us about the whole ecosystem?
Well, when you step back and look at all this, you start to see a bigger picture, right? 3 things really stand out. 1, there's real financial growth and genuine community engagement, like we saw with Strike and Minswap. 2, these protocols, like Surf, are proving they are tough and can handle real-world pressure. And 3, projects like Fluid and Surge are putting in the hard, technical work that builds a foundation for the future. It's all 3 of these things together that paint a picture of a really dynamic and maturing ecosystem.
And that kind of leaves us with one final, big question to chew on. As you watch this space evolve, which one of these things do you think is going to matter most in the long run? Is it going to be the explosive growth, the battle-tested resilience, or that deep foundational tech? Something to think about. Thanks for watching.